Boston, Massachusetts, and Oba, Nigeria. The following is a subsection of the book. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Wife. Written and published by Ifeanyi Chukwujima, scriptural scientist and a servant of God, with contributions by Dr. Ifeanyi Chukwujima, Doctor of Pharmacy. This subsection's ID is Holy Wife 1:2. God is not a human being that he rambles on. When God says no one, God means no one. Any human being who wants to be an exception to the wrongs charged by God in Romans 3 verses 10 to 18 and in other scriptures must earn it through hard work, which translates to painstakingly observing every command of God in the Bible. John 15 verses 10 and 14, Matthew 28 verse 20. Your religious title or any other attainment would not exonerate you from God's charge of wrongdoing. Only your wholehearted devotion to the Word of God and your willing submission to everything God has commanded you will get you there. John 14 verses 21 to 24 NIV. Whoever has my commands and keeps them is the one who loves me. The one who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I too will love them and show myself to them. 22 Then Judas, not Judas Iscariot, said, but, Lord, why do you intend to show yourself to us and not to the world? 23 Jesus replied, anyone who loves me will obey my teaching. My Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. 24 Anyone who does not love me will not obey my teaching. These words you hear are not my own. They belong to the Father who sent me. Human beings do not set any rule of life. We obey the rules God has set for life, all of it, or suffer the consequences for our disobedience of God. Let us look at a marriage in which God showed Salmach about godly marriage, what to do and what not to do. Rachel said to Jacob at Jacob's request for Rachel and Leah to quietly come away with him from their father Laban. He had sold us and spent the money he collected on our heads. She did not say this because she had anything against their father. She was, instead, expressing the truth off marriage. Every father raises his daughter not for his daughter to live with him in his household forever. Every father raises his daughter to be taken by another man who is unrelated to him, who takes his daughter so she could be a wife to him and raise a good family for him. Every man stops directing his daughter's life the moment he gives his daughter over to another man, whom he now appeals to take good care of his daughter, as Laban had charged Jacob when he gave Jacob both his daughters. Laban did not sell her daughters to Jacob, as Laban reminded Jacob when he caught up with him that the women and their children were still his, including the wealth Jacob had accumulated as his price for his services to Laban. Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? 44 Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. Genesis 31 verses 43 to 44 NIV. In Genesis 31 verse 43 above, Laban conceded that the charge over his 2 daughters and their children now belonged to Jacob. That all he, Laban, could ask for was understanding from Jacob, in whose hands the fate of his daughters now lied. And Laban asked for that understanding in the very next verse, Genesis 31 verse 44. So it was not a coincidence that Laban reminded Jacob that giving his daughters to him in marriage does not mean that he sold them to him. Laban saying that to Jacob was God telling everyone who has wisdom to mesh the truth of marriage which Rachel had spoken to her husband about his transactions with their father in exchange for them, Genesis 31 verses 14 to 16, with the truth of God's gift of freedom to every human being, male and female, in God's common household on the earth, 1 Corinthians 10 verse 23, both privately and corporately. The women ran off requested, knowing they could always reach out to their father, Laban, anytime the need arose. In the meantime, both women knew where their loyalty belonged, so they put 100% of their loyalty there. They listened to the man they each married, in whom lied their respective future, Genesis 31:14-15, and the future of the children they had for him. Genesis 31 verse 16. We must all be careful to listen to God and not follow the wicked conjectures of our own minds. Here is the Bible warning us. I do not want you to be ignorant of the fact, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud and that they all passed through the sea. 2. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. 3. They all ate the same spiritual food. 4. And drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. 5. Nevertheless, God was not pleased with most of them. Their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. 6. Now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. 7. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. 8. We should not commit sexual immorality, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 of them died. 9. We should not test Christ, as some of them did and were killed by snakes. 10. And do not grumble, as some of them did and were killed by the destroying angel. 11. These things happened to them as examples, and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the culmination of the ages has come. 12. So, if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. 1 Corinthians 10 verses 1-13 NIV. The Bible does not just tell stories. Every line in the Bible teaches wisdom. We all became too wise for ourselves and begin to only look for punchlines in the Bible and ignore the wisdom the Bible carefully documents for us. God was exquisitely clear that He made Eve for marriage to Adam, Genesis 2 verse 18. That He did not just make another human being to contrast with the man and pursue her separate life ambitions, but one that complements the man, Genesis 2 verse 18. God readily brought Eve to Adam and joined them in marriage, in fulfillment of His purpose of creating Eve in the first place, a helper suitable for her husband, Adam. And what is it that a husband does, for which needs help from this new creature, the woman, that was made especially for him? Raising in God's righteousness, the children God was going to give to the husband, 1 Thessalonians. For 7 NIV, for God did not call us to be impure, but to live a holy life. God gave children to Adam and to every husband, so that the husband will teach the children what is fruitful, constructive, and profitable for life. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Genesis 18 verse 19 NIV. Why then, does the Bible say in Genesis 2 verse 15 that God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it, if working the land is not the work God had created Adam to do, for which God had given Adam a wife, Eve, to help him, Genesis 2 verse 18. Working the land, Genesis 2 verse 15, is a means to a purpose, godly offspring, Genesis 18 verse 19, Malachi 2 verse 15, and not the purpose itself. God's purpose for human beings and for all marriages is to raise godly children for the kingdom of heaven, godly children who are to continue to resist the devil in his menacing search of human beings, James 4 verse 7, for the evidence of human wickedness, Revelation 12 verse 10. The devil hopes will exonerate him, Job 1 verses 8-12, from wrongdoing. Ezekiel 28 verses 1-19, Isaiah 14 verses 1-20, his bringing of death to life's equation, Revelation 12 verses 1-17, 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 7, Genesis 3 verse 11 NIV. Who told you? The land was God's gift to human beings. Even the entire universe was created by God to serve human beings on the earth. Hence 1 Corinthians 3 verses 21-23 NIV, all things are yours. 22 whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or the present or the future, all are yours. 23 and you are of Christ, and Christ is of God. That is how important the creatures that are human beings are to God. The entirety of the 6 days of creation was used by God to prepare heavenly comfort for God's beloved creatures, the humans, whom God had created inside the body of his only begotten Son, the Christ, so that God could serve his eternal justice. And prove to his loyal angels, Ephesians 3 verses 9 to 10, that Satan deserves the punishment he received, Ezekiel 28:6-10, 16-19, from bringing death into life. God had, therefore, created all human beings for his own his purpose being to demonstrate to his loyal angels that Satan had no business bringing death into life. Job 1 verses 8 to 12, Job 38 verses 1 to 3, Job 40 verses 11 to 14. Satan had chosen wickedness over love, and competition and division over cooperation and unity, and thereby brought God's holy name into disrepute. See the Bible passages. Job 1 verses 6 to 12 NIV. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. 7 The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." 8 Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." 9 Does Job fear God for nothing? Satan replied. 10 Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. 11 But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. 12 The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Job 38:1-3, 12-17 NIV. Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. He said, 2 Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? 3 Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. 12 Have you ever given orders to the morning, or shown the dawn its place? 13 That it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? 14 The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. 15 The wicked are denied their light, and their upraised arm is broken. 16 Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea or dwelt in the recesses of the deep? 17 Have the gates of death been shown to you? Job 40 verses 11 to 14 NIV. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at all who are proud and bring them low. 12 Look at all who are proud and humble them. Crush the wicked where they stand. 13 Bury them all in the dust together. Shroud their faces in the grave. 14 Then I myself will admit to you that your own right hand can save you.